thanks to the AA. You'll find our lowest car insurance quotes online, guaranteed.
Mild and breezy with any rain clearing early tonight. Showers will affect Connacht and parts of the northwest overnight, but dry elsewhere. Lows of 8 to 11 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Well, if like me you're fed up of Brexit, you're fed up of Boris, you're fed up of Trump, you're fed up of all the political nonsense that prevails in the world at the moment, we have time for 3 hours of sport. And tonight's show we have Galway's Danny Cummins coming on, and he's going to discuss Kevin Walsh's shock departure or not so shock departure today, and what might happen in the West. Both Galway's teams without a manager at the moment, and that's going to be around about 7:30. We'll be hearing from Andy Lee and Jason Quigley on Jason's career and Vasyl Lomachenko, who obviously was amazing at the weekend, the best boxer in the planet at the moment, I'm told. Wouldn't be a big boxing man, but I visited Joseph O'Brien's yard this morning, met some legendary former riders, and on the football show later we have Ireland-Switzerland, a League of Ireland chat with Dan McDonnell and Stewie Byrne. Dan is in studio at the moment with Will O'Callaghan, but lads, I have to start with a little tweet 2 hours ago. Already 5,300 likes. Obviously gutted not to be on the plane. Thanks to everyone for their kind messages. Best of luck to all the lads involved. Devon Toner. It's hard to put up a message when you're obviously so down and out. What have you made of it all?
Well, I suppose it's probably exactly what you'd expect from Devon Toner. Devon Toner is not the type of guy who was going to come out and have a go at John Klein or have a go at the Irish coaching team for leaving him out. It seems this is Johnny, like, he's probably not going to be even a backup option for the World Cup, because they've kept three players around in Will Addison, Kieran Marmion and also Jordy Murphy. I get the feeling that even if Ireland have an injury in the second row this weekend against Wales, that in all likelihood they'll see that Tadhg Byrne can cover the position and Jordy Murphy will be the one who would come in as opposed to Devon Toner. So I think there's an acceptance from Toner that he's not going to Japan unless a multitude of injuries happen at this stage. And I can only imagine how awkward that conversation was between Joe Schmidt and Devon Toner. Apparently it wasn't all that long either. It was just a couple of minutes between them.
You're out.
Yeah, and that decision is made that John Klein, a guy they've looked at for 2 years as a tight head option in the lock, and then picking him, was he 2 days, I think, eligible before playing his first World Cup warm-up game. And as Dave McIntyre of this parish pointed out yesterday, it's not like Klein has even made much of an impression in the two games he's played. So it was a very hard decision on Devon Toner. Daniel
McDonnell of the Irish Independent joins us. Dan, you've no interest in rugby, but your colleague Rory O'Connor, did he kind of break the squad or something? Not break them, but actually broke the story of the squad.
Pretty much. I think Rory would modestly say there was a couple of others as well. I think it might have come out in a few outlets, but I think Rory was certainly to the forefront of it. And yeah, listen, you're right. I don't know. I'm not really that pushed about the rugby at all. But
you don't like it, actually.
No, I don't really. But notwithstanding that, John, let's come to me on it. What I find sort of baffling is that they actually had this plan in the first place to submit the squad and then not discuss it or not reveal it publicly for like 6 days. It strikes me as like Joe Schmidt is someone who's regarded as a very good planner, like, you know, a very good coach, but that was a sort of a slightly naive plan. Like this information gets out. Like, you're talking about, 31 players, or probably 40 plus if you think about the lads probably who've been...
There's 40 in camp,
yeah, 40 in camp. And I don't know, I mean, obviously it had to be submitted to World Rugby, so like it's going through a procedure. Like, I know that the last Ireland squad for Euro 2016, Ireland played Belarus down in Cork on a 7:45 kickoff, like Tuesday, Wednesday night. The squad list had to be submitted to UEFA by midnight, and basically I think that the FAO realised, well, they had to get the squad out that night. I think it was 10 o'clock. I think they actually told the players that night. David Ford was dumped in a couple of them. You can't sit on that stuff for 6 weeks, or for 6 weeks, well, that'd be a long time, for 6 days. Like, it's hugely ambitious. And so it strikes me as sort of a bit embarrassing. I know people say, well, this shouldn't have leaked out or whatever. I mean...
Is the veneer of awe around Joe Schmidt on the wane?
Well, I think to just take up Dan's point, it was obvious that this was going to get out, because I was talking to some of the players in Cardiff after the game at the weekend, and the first obvious question, Andrew Conway and Jack Carthy were two of the players who were brought up to speak. Two probably in the kind of 50-50 range. Maybe Carthy knew he was going after playing 80 minutes at the weekend, and straight away he was like, look, we're going back up to Carton House on Monday, we're all going to find out, and the first thing we're going to do is tell our family members and our mates whether we're in or out. And after that, it doesn't take a huge amount of deduction after that to work out who's in the squad. I think the IRFU kind of got beaten to the punch a little bit by this. I'm sure sure when they saw Rory's article and some of the other predicted squads that were claimed to be leaked on Monday, at that stage they had to, they were very much on the back foot when they said, right, we've got to announce this at 1 o'clock today as opposed to announcing it this weekend. I'm sure Schmidt would have liked to have been in a situation whereby everyone stays around camp, the 3 guys who are being kept keep their mouth shut as well, and nothing is mentioned until Saturday, but that was unrealistic, I think.
It's been a pretty drab Tuesday. The weather's not great. You can feel the evenings are closing in a bit. Let's bring a bit of glamour to our lives, and hopefully you'll be able to see this on video, because this is Wes Hoolahan on game day, and this is how you travel to matches Oz style. What do we make of this, lads?
Well, he's on a boat, basically. I mean, he's travelling through Queensland. Like Wes Hoolahan, people might have slipped on the radar. He has moved to the A-League. He's moved down under, and this is his life now. Like this time last year, not quite this time last year, this time 2 years ago in an international week, we'd be wondering why Wes Hoolahan wouldn't play. And Wes now, 2 years on, is away from all this stress, is away from all this, will he, won't he sagas, and he's spending his Tuesdays on a boat. On his way to whoever the Newcastle Jets' next game is against. He's active enough on Instagram now, just posting snapshots of life in Australia now. Great thing to be able to just travel with football.
Would it appeal to you if you were a footballer at the end of your career to go off to somewhere exotic? Like a lot of League of Ireland lads kind of want to go to the States, and obviously Wes has gone to Australia.
100%. Like it's got great opportunities. Like I think the lads that have a talent, they have a talent that they can go and work somewhere with sport at a level that probably wouldn't be as taxing as where they've worked at. Like Wes Hoolahan was in a 46-game championship season for pretty much the most of the last decade, with the exception of his Premier League years.
He deserves a break.
He goes to A-League now, where it's a smaller league. There is more travel, although hey, that's more pleasant than a 6-hour bus journey from Norwich to wherever. On a Tuesday night, coming back through the night. There is more travel, and there's a more relaxed schedule. It's also a league that does a lot of focus more so on attack and play. Now I see Andy Keogh was there for the last couple of years. I think he's headed off to Saudi Arabia now. I might draw the line there in terms of heading...
It's the second division in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. It's probably a good deal, and that's...
Will was making a kind of a...
That is more to...
That was the money symbol.
Money, so you could have done a wheelbarrow as well. It's more... That's more towards the end of the career, where it's like, listen, earning power, you got to get what you can out of the game. I think Wes' situation is probably a bit different. That I know that like he wanted to go to the Sun at some stage, and I think West Brom made him a pretty good offer that convinced them to stay, and listen, that's life, that's business, that's the decision. But now, while he can, why wouldn't you? Would you? You miss home too much.
I would probably miss home.
You'd miss the race. You missed the element of the home. You missed the race, and
I think Will's a bit like that though. You'd be a bit of a home bird, would you?
A little bit, yeah. I still live not probably too far from home, but I think if someone was offering to pay me decent wages to go live in Australia for a couple of years, I'd probably take it up. I'm delighted that Wes is actually still playing on. I remember I interviewed him back in June, and he wasn't 100% sure what he was going to do for this year. He was kind of still looking to try and get a club, but he says he was relaxed enough about the idea of maybe working with his own coaching school and just doing a bit of coaching and dipping his toe into that. I'm sure when the opportunity came to move to a league where he's probably getting decent cash, living in the sun, started the spring in Australia, you're not going to turn that down. And he has a goal already with his right foot.
Closer to Summer Bay and all that.
Better bang a home and away off it.
Yeah, but speaking of money though, the situation in Galway right now and the county board, where's this going to go in terms of they've no managers? I don't know, what Michael O'Donoghue's gripe with the county board was, but there obviously was something deep there. The Kevin Walsh departure is probably a lot more expected, but it's kind of worrying times for my county at the moment.
Well, the weird thing as well, Johnny, was this was expected in terms of Kevin Walsh stepping down, but again, a bit like the hurling, how long has this dragged on since Galway were knocked out of the championship? Like Galway were knocked out last round of the qualifiers before the Super 8, so it's been quite some time since they were knocked out. So you'd imagine if Kevin Walsh, as the statement said today, he's happy with where he's brought them to, left the county in a better place and good structures are there. If you're going to leave, surely he would have left pretty much in the aftermath of that qualifier defeat.
And we will have...
We're very late looking for managers.
Yeah, and we will have a chat with Danny Cummins, who was basically there for the entire 5-year reign of Kevin after the Newsround. But it's just, as you say, it's
what's the good news story in Galway sport at the moment, John? You tell me, as a proud Galwegian, Galway United...
So Galway United are playing Shamrock Rovers on Friday night.
Okay, but
which is, it's not, I mean, a fixture is hardly a good news story, is it? No. We don't have a bar anymore in Terryland Park.
No bar.
Because it was mentioned this in I edited the Galway United match programme, and Justin Mason had his stag in Galway the last time Shamrock Rovers played in Galway. He's actually a Shamrock Rovers fan. Yeah. And, there's this kind of ludicrous notion that football fans can't have beers at games because they're all a crowd of hooligans, but it's grand for rugby fans because they're from Dublin 6 or whatever, Dublin 4. Oh, it's grand, they can have, but no, you can't. So you can't have Shamrock Rovers fans Galway United. But actually we had Justin having his stag in Terryland. Brilliant night. He said it was brilliant stag. So we need the bar. We need the bar back.
You can tell you spend a lot of time in Dublin 6 now as well. You go to that in front of 4 as your as your Dublin reference.
Do we have anything good? Where's Connacht Rugby? I mean, Jack Carty's obviously
Jack Carty's in the squad,
making some strides.
They're going to play in the Champions Cup again next year. Redevelopment's going to happen at the sports ground, which is kind of badly needed. I actually quite like going to the sports ground, just purely whether you're going to the Dogs or whether you're going to the rugby. It's a really good location. You just walk up the hill. You're very quickly back into town if you want to go.
Brilliant location
afterwards. Fantastic.
Near arguably the best pub in the world, O'Connell's in Ayr Square.
Not a bad spot.
And you see, just to be able to walk 5 minutes to the ground, then it's one of the problems Cherryland has. It's a bit of a walk. And Galway people have this interesting thing that if it's too wet, they'll be disinclined to go to a Galway United match because they want to stay in the pub. And if it's a sunny evening, they'll be disinclined to go to a Galway United match because they want to stay in the pub. So that's a problem for Galway United. So we have to bust them out or kind of coerce them into coming to games. What's Dan's rather trenchant objection to Irish rugby? And he's gone with the Sticky has gone with both the question mark and the exclamation mark. I mean, we're Irish. Surely it's important to follow it rather than say the English Premiership. Sticky and Drimna.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah,
that's the first time I've ever seen Dan respond positively to criticism.
Well, no. I mean, we're all Irish, apart from some of the players that are going.
Actually, this I'm not. I have a bit of an issue with this. So he's basically kind of replaced by a guy who's essentially not Irish.
Yep.
I don't know.
See, we've had that. We've had that in our international sports teams for years. But I mean, I would argue always that there's a slight difference between, someone who's qualified through the grandparent rules. They are reflective of our country's history with emigration. With they might speak with a Cockney accent, and maybe they didn't spend a huge amount of time there as kids, or maybe they've just learned their family history. But at least they are part of a history. There was someone in their past who was part of Ireland's history of exporting people. It's part of the family. It's part of the family name. It comes from that. Whereas, I mean, if you're simply recruiting players to come here, and that's fine. That's the rules of rugby as well. They are acting within the rules. There's nothing illegal about it. But you probably have to expect the flack that goes with it.
Absolutely.
It's not going to be for everyone. And what sometimes winds people up is that I think that sometimes there is this view that the rugby boys, they are very invested as unlike these detached footballers sometimes. Well, that's not the reality. In both codes, there are professionals who cynically go where they need to go for the sake of their career, and that's it. There is no difference. There's no distinction.
You remember when these players come effectively as project players to come here, and the residency rules were definitely they were too loose when it was only 3 seasons. When it goes out to 5 years now, it becomes more difficult, and it's a big commitment at that stage. Well, I do wonder whether more South African players will be recruited at a younger age when it comes to 5 years as opposed to 3. But if you come here, I'd imagine for those players as well, quite aside from the possibility of playing international rugby, which maybe they weren't going to get at home, it also means they're coming in to probably get quite well played inside the provincial system here as well. So there's a double benefit that if you go to Munster or you go to Leinster as a project player, in all likelihood you're going to earn more cash than you probably were earning back at home in South Africa or New Zealand as well. I mean, obviously, Klein has been very, very controversial because it was so close to the World Cup. I'm sure Irish rugby fans will be quite happy to embrace James Lowe, given how good he's been at provincial level for Leinster when he comes in for next year. We tend to be very selective about who we get annoyed about. So if Bundy Aki's playing well, if CJ Standard's playing well, they generally tend to be embraced by the Irish public for the best part. But if a player comes in and the feeling is that he's keeping someone out, particularly someone like Devon Toner, who's very well liked, the backlash tends to kick back every time.
I think someone like Toner, again, I say this from a slight remove, but he just seems to be such a popular figure that from the PR side of things, it places the project player in a very negative light.
Yeah,
it is like someone as Luke Fitzgerald, I think, and people have said, it's someone who Dave Soldier, about the Irish born lads know them. He's been there. This is what he's been aspiring towards, and he gets replaced by someone who's dropped in. But this is professional sport. I can understand why. Like, I wouldn't cast aspersions on his character. He's playing the game. But I think, if there's romantic statements and uttered about, what the team stands for, like, you have to accept that, rugby just seems to have this ability to drop lads' heads. That is part of the game. That's part of the culture.
If there's anything that makes you feel better in times of trouble, it's likes on Twitter, and Devon is up to 5,800.
He's turned off his notifications.
109 retweets. Sean Maguire and Scott Hogan, who took his time in declaring for Ireland, have done absolutely nothing in an Ireland jersey in comparison to Shane Long. Long is worthy of a squad place at least. No doubt McCarthy's buddies in the media. Slightly cryptic message there from Joe and Kevin.
It wasn't very cryptic, it was pretty blunt.
Yeah.
No doubt McCarthy's buddies in the media.
Was there something else added on to that?
No. But
I think he's missing a few words.
Will defend his. Actually, I digress, because Joe and Kevin, it was relayed to me without being fully finished. No doubt McCarthy's buddies in the media will defend his decisions. Is McCarthy a lad who kind of pals to the media, or is he gruff, or is he somewhere in between?
I think somewhere in between. I don't know. Like, I speak to lads who would have covered McCarthy the first time around, and I think, like, obviously there was stuff that happened, towards the end that was pretty fraught. I think he could be quite confrontational at times. I think he's come back in this time, and there are lads who know him very well from that time. I think he has a certain rapport with them, which is, a bit pantomime at times. There's a bit of back and forth, but ultimately they have a relationship and they got on very well. Whereas someone like Martin O'Neill would have been more detached, and wouldn't necessarily really had a relationship with anyone, really. With some more than others. But it's an interesting point. Like, someone like Scott Hogan hummed and hawed about playing for Ireland big time, and if a squad was named tomorrow and Scott Hogan was picked ahead of, say, Sean Maguire, you've no doubt that privately, some players and some people associated, their family and so on, would be probably as aggrieved as Devon Toner's people would be in a slightly different way.
We have a text about another texter here. Lads, where's the Walkinstown Beckenbauer gone? Haven't heard from him in ages. Has he emigrated, Paul from Cork? Let's have the news round.
All right.
Where is he gone?
I don't know who the Walkinstown Beckenbauer is.
He's a regular texter.
Must be, yeah.
Right.
A very regular texter to the show, and I don't know.
If the Walkinstown Beckenbauer is listening, just let us know that you're okay. Is that okay?
No, that's fine. Yeah, that's an okay.
Walkinstown Beckenbauer.
Maybe a bit more compassionate.
Do you think
he
looks like Beckenbauer? Do you think he plays like Beckenbauer?
More likely to play like him.
Yeah.
Looking like him wouldn't.
Beckenbauer's like.
You wouldn't like Walkinstown Beckenbauer. It's more of a description of someone's style as opposed to their looks. When you think about it.
We can only speculate, but if the Walkinstown Beckenbauer is still there, please let us know that you're okay, because Paul from Cork is definitely interested. Normally love your sports programme, but can't believe your sports commentator admits he doesn't like a certain sport. Rugby still can't believe he did. A lot of my mates hate rugby as well, to be honest. Let's get the news.
All right, we'll start with rugby, because Ireland head coach Joe Schmidt has hit back Gus Pichot for claiming that Devon Toner should seek answers about his omission from the Ireland Rugby World Cup squad. World Rugby's vice president criticised Ireland's decision to pick the South African-born John Klein over the Leinster-Loch Toner in their 31-man group for Japan. Schmidt responded to Pichot's comments today, insisting that he's playing by the rules.
Yeah, again, I think Gus Pichot had a big opinion about who should be world number one as well. I think he has a number of big opinions, but they're not ones that are relevant for us. And talking to Gats last week, it wasn't relevant for him either. What is relevant for us is, under the laws of the game as they were, we're entitled to pick guys who have qualified. And considering he's involved in World Rugby, maybe he could have a look at what the rules were and maybe not have so much to say.
Meanwhile, the Ireland head coach has also revealed that Johnny Sexton...
Is Joe getting a little bit...
I think he's
losing his cool a bit?
I don't know about losing the cool, but I think he's reached the point, a bit like Mick McCarthy, where he knows there's a very set amount of time left before he leaves the job. So I think Schmidt may well have reeled in this and mightn't have necessarily hit back a year ago, but now he knows he's only got a month left. And he went on to say as well, he's like, look, these rules are going to change. I'm not going to be around for when they change. I
did speak to a journalist today who was delighted that he doesn't have any or many more Schmidt press conferences.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you going to out that person?
Absolutely not. He or she will not be named.
Okay. Right. Well, The Ireland head coach Joe Schmidt also revealed today Johnny Sexton will start against Wales on Saturday. He's not played so far in pre-season, the current World Player of the Year. Cian Healy, Robbie Henshaw and Keith Earls are also in contention to play this weekend. Ciara Marmion, Will Addison and Geordie Murphy are still training with the group despite being left out of the 31-man squad for the World Cup yesterday. Republic of Ireland, the women's team in action tonight. Caretaker boss is Tom O'Connor. He believes they can reach Euro 2021. O'Connor's side kick off their qualification campaign at home to Montenegro in around 11 minutes' time. And Jamie Moore is at Tallaght Stadium.
The quest to qualify for their first ever major tournament begins for the Ireland women's national team tonight. They host Montenegro in their opening Euro 2021 qualifier here at Tallaght Stadium at 7:30. The girls in green will be captained by Tallaght native Katie McCabe and managed by Tom O'Connor. He's in temporary charge after the departure of Colin Bell, who joined Huddersfield. Ireland came close to making a World Cup playoff in the last campaign, and they'll be hoping for a good start to this one against a Montenegrin team that lost 10-0 to group favourites Germany on Saturday. Record-breaking crowds attended Ireland's last 2 games here last year. They'll be aiming to break the 4,000 mark again tonight, with the journey and hopes of qualifying for the finals in England kicking off at 7:30.
Big game for them tonight. We obviously lose Queen on Saturday, and not exactly an ideal kind of prep in terms of management and all that, but they have a temporary coach.
No, they don't have a manager, and I think I'm not sure if it would be accepted if it was, you know.
You made that point on Saturday.
Yeah, well, I think it was someone else who made the point, but yeah, Montenegro lost 10-0 to Germany in their first match, so their record would suggest they're not world beaters, so they should be able to get through this one. And maybe is that part of the thinking? Montenegro at home should be fine, you know. But I mean that's grand, but then it needs to work. It needs to be that way.
Elsewhere, Dave McGoldrick is hoping to lead the line for the Republic of Ireland in Thursday's Euro 2020 qualifier against Switzerland. The striker's played in 4 of the 5 games so far this season for Sheffield United in the Premier League, but in summer of 2018 he was without a club before he signed for the Blades.
I think we're getting our critics, you know. I seen Garth Crooks talking the other day, saying that we're down and we're rubbish, he ain't seen nothing, you know. I ain't got a clue what he took that morning, but he needs to think that we're not ordinary, we play a different way, a different style, and I think we've come with the same philosophy that we've used from the Championship, and I think we need to get a bit of respect for that. We ain't changed for no one, and we've got a few results, and listen, it's going to be a long season, we're going to have ups and downs, there's going to be games where we get beat and we walk off the pitch and we just got to hold our hands up, but I think, you know, at home we can give teams a lot of problems. I think we'll see that throughout the season.
Is that the first time that Gareth Crooks has ever been referenced in a press conference, apart from when he was playing, obviously?
Well, in an Irish press conference.
Yeah.
We haven't had too many players come and call out Crooksy.
Crooksy?
But I assume that's how he might be known.
I doubt it, to be honest, but
the vernacular of English football nicknames is generally just added.
Forget about the Beckenbauer lad. We want Crooksy to let us know whether that is or is not.
It's not likely his nickname is Crooksy.
Crooksy.
He's more of a Garrett.
They used to do a great impression of him on après match. Like, it was kind of like there was a lot of kind of sucking in as he was talking. Crooksy. Nathan and Joe have been locked away in an isolation chamber today, psyching themselves up for tomorrow night. The Roy Keane and Gary Neville Premier League Roadshow. Either of you lads going?
Yeah,
probably so. Yeah.
Unbelievable demand. It's happening.
You didn't really give it a sell there, John.
It's happening at the. Well, I don't need to sell it. It's sold out. It's sold out. There's no point selling it. It's neither on the radio nor can. It's actually sold out. But what is the point of me selling it? It's sold out.
But the most blasé description of Nathan and Joe being locked away, in a matter of fact, that's actually very serious.
Nathan was taking me off his computer half an hour ago because he has a show in front of 2,000 people tomorrow night. It's
because you were writing the Galway United match programme editorial.
It's happening at the Bournemouth Energy Theatre tomorrow night in association with Cadbury. It's sold out. It was sold out basically as soon as it was announced. Very good charity, obviously, but we will play you some of the highlights later on this week. But in fairness, just going back to Crooksy, it was interesting that he had a little dig, and these guys have a little bit of a point to prove, these Sheffield United lads as well.
Oh, they do. Well, that's the great profile of their squad is that pretty much none of them had played in the Premier League before, you know, to any great degree over a long period of time, and they had a great sort of unity. So I'd say they take umbrage at anything like that. An old school siege mentality that probably wouldn't be out of place in an Irish dressing room too.
Yeah, great to have a siege mentality.
Indeed.
Well, Celtic have signed themselves another Irish underage international. Defender Lee O'Connor has joined the Scottish champions from Manchester United. He's agreed a 4-year contract with the Scottish champions. He joins fellow Irish underage internationals Luke O'Connell and Jonathan Afalabi in making the move to the Scottish champions this summer. Across the city, Rangers have splashed the cash today as well. On deadline day, they made this signing. Ryan Kent from Liverpool, they signed him for £7.5 million.
Just briefly on this, and I make rash judgments on players that I've seen for about 10 minutes. I really like this lad, the little I've seen him underage.
What do you like about him?
Brilliant defender. He knows how to defend. I don't know where his best position is. Is he central midfielder? Is he a right back? I don't know.
He's very versatile. He's played everywhere. I mean, he would have been compared to John O'Shea a lot because he's from Waterford, went to Man U at 16, but also, good character, captained club and country, played a variety of positions across the back four.
Good move.
Bit disappointing that he hasn't broken in at Man U, or didn't get a chance. So a good move, I guess it is. But Celtic has signed another.
Whoa. Oh. It's the walking sound Beckenbauer here, lads. Been on the lash for the last few months. I'm not available for legend messages for another month. I'll be back in the usual radio, sports show, tech circuit. Then cheers for the shout out. Very worried. If you've been on the lash for the last few months,
must be a teacher. Absolutely.
I disassociate off the ball. Disassociate itself with the link, the nexus between being on the lash for the last few months.
From a family of teachers.
And could the walking sound Beckenbauer just text in again and let us know if he's a teacher or not? Dan, Lee O'Connor.
Yeah, no, listen, is it a good move? Well, Celtic signed Jeremy Frimpong from Man City yesterday, another defender from Kilmarnock, Greg Taylor. So Luke O'Connell joined them this summer, as Will mentioned. They have a load of young lads in their development section, but I'm guessing if you're giving someone a 4-year deal and you've made a play to get him, he's closer to the team than not. So I hope so. Sort of Celtic is becoming interesting again. They went a while there without any real Irish link, in terms of player-wise.
And if there's anything we love more, it's Irish people supporting Celtic.
Well, at least there's players there now.
In fairness, and it wouldn't make it a bit more interesting anyway. Will, more news?
Well, Galway, as we mentioned top of the show, are now searching for a new senior football manager after Kevin Walsh confirmed he's stepping down after 5 years in charge. The Trojans won 2 Connacht titles during his tenure. They also reached last year's Division 1 League final as well. Walsh says it was an honour to manage the team and that he feels he's left football in the county in a better place. In a statement, Galway County Board have thanked Walsh for his tremendous dedication and for putting professional structures in place as well. John Divley and Porrick Joyce are the early favourites in being linked with the position. And Galway legend Michael Meehan was on this morning's OTBAM.
But Kevin, hard luck in the immediate aftermath with little time to think about it. Where do you think it went wrong?
First half was good. Total control. It wasn't weather conditions were poor on both sides. It was rain, but there was no major wind. But second half just didn't seem to get our hands on the ball. I think maybe overturned the ball maybe 2 or 3 times at the start of the second half when we were attacking, and the next 20 minutes we didn't seem to get our hands on the ball. I could be reading this wrong. Obviously you probably had more time to watch this than I had, but we'll have to evaluate it during the week, and one thing we're sure is it wasn't a consistent performance.
Only 2 points in the second half, and it wasn't like there was a huge amount of wides in there either. Why do you think you weren't creating any opportunities really?
You have to tell me. I think probably didn't get our hands on the ball enough. They seem to be winning all the breaking ball and running at us. We certainly weren't as good defensively in the second half. But having said that, it doesn't seem to get our hands on the ball.
Were you holding too many men back inside your own half?
Do you think so?
I'm asking you.
Do you think so?
No, I'm just asking the question. You think that was one of the reasons?
I don't think it was one of the reasons. I mean, because there's a lot of guff out there about that. At the end of the day, we didn't get our hands on the ball. We need to get our hands on the ball. There was no different instruction in the first half compared to the second half, and we've had our chat in there. But whether a change of mindset in being able to get.
But Kevin, hard luck in the immediate aftermath.
Well, that's Kevin Walsh himself talking after the Connacht
the
final.
walk-on sound Beckenbauer is completely perplexed now because he's after hearing a clip.
I thought I was sober again. If there's one thing Kevin Walsh didn't need, obviously, it was him being played after the Connacht final. Having said that, I think that was quite revealing in terms of his mindset, because we're going to discuss that with Moira Tressa after the break, in the sense of maybe some of the problems that Kevin faced. Before we wrap up, you're cousins with John Divley.
We are related, although I don't think I've ever actually met him. Remember, in fact, I haven't met him.
First cousin, second cousin, third, once removed?
Somewhere down the line. All my family on my mother's side are Divleys, yeah. So
it'd be a strong Galway name.
It would. Very strong Galway name. Yeah.
We'll catch up with you.
There's some top class insight there, but might be related to him.
Yeah.
I am related to him, but never met him.
Just a brief tweet update now. We're done with the tweet updates. We'll hopefully the Walking Sound Beckenbauer might be on later in the show, but we'll talk to Dan in the later on in the show when we will talk football. Plenty of chat about Ireland and Switzerland. Thanks for Will for coming in for the Newsround. We'll take a break.
Off the ball on News Talk.
I hear you some wiring needs a fixing, ma'am. The name's Buzz. on account of my work.
No chance.
Not all cowboys ride horses. All safe electric registered electrical contractors must give you a certificate of completion that shows their work meets approved standards. Find one nearby on safeelectric.ie.
Renting your property? You need a letting agent who doesn't just do the paperwork. Sherry Fitzgerald Lettings look after it all. From gathering references to taking care of repairs and maintenance. From getting the right tenants to checking in with them. It's the letting service that lets you live. Find out more at sherryfitzlettings.ie. Sherry Fitzgerald. It's not just about property. It's about people.
The Dublin Liberties is a place where old meets new, and every corner tells a story of rebels, rascals and raconteurs. It's now home to the new Dublin Liberties Distillery, a short walk from Dublin's city centre.